Today we're going to talk about football managers. We're going to do a bit of a manager special. There's one in particular that we wanted to talk about. His name is Will Still. He's currently managing over in the French League, the League One, or the Uber Eats League, is it called?
League One.
Thanks for the French.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, currently there's a big story going around about him. He started off playing Football Manager as a kid, as many people do, playing games and whatnot, and he's currently now managing a top flight French team. He's not got his, he's not qualified and got his UEFA Pro license yet. So unfortunately the club is actually paying 25,000 euros every game he's in charge. So yeah, that's a big story there. Jake, what do you think about that? Do you think that, is it worth him paying the fine each week if he's getting the result, would you say?
I suppose football is so much money, so you probably pay that fee if you're winning, but imagine if you're losing, you'd be pretty quick to get out the window. But
I guess the 25,000 is probably not a lot either in the modern game.
Well, that's it. It's probably like one player's wages or something like that, or not even that. But
yeah, how much is a win worth in like a dollar value? It's probably a lot more than 25,000.
And if they qualify for the Champions League or anything like that, it's pretty minimal sort of thing.
Do you think, the rule, the fact that these managers have to have these licenses is essential?
Oh, I suppose it's like any job. You got to get these university degrees to try and be, relevant for the position. But I think if you're getting the result in the end of the day, it probably doesn't really matter.
Because shouldn't that be then the club's policy rather than the league's policy?
Yeah, and
because if a company's willing to hire someone to do a job that person's not qualified for, that's on the company at the end of the day.
But it's all politics. They're probably trying to get people more trained up, and they've got to pay fees to do these courses and all that sort of stuff. So I reckon that's where it probably plays in. But no, I agree. If you're the best man for the job, why would you have to have a certain license or something? But
yeah. And what do you think it says about Football Manager, the fact that someone he's essentially done a degree in football by playing a game? I've personally not ever played it. I've played, other games like FIFA and whatnot. Yeah. But it's crazy that, we could get to a stage where these games become so realistic that it might almost be like the perfect training ground.
Well, I guess there's more and more data involved in football. They look at everything. They look at their training, positions, heat maps, all that sort of stuff. So I guess you can see where that's all coming in, but where's it come? If I'm good at Call of Duty, I'm not going to go to the army. I don't know. But I can see where all that data and statistics and stuff comes in. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bit unusual.
What about GTA?
World-class criminal.
I'll be making a pretty good living if I going off my GTA ability.
That's so easy. Just get away from the cops, just pay a fine.
Do the cheat codes. It's easy. Yeah, to me, I just see, obviously, there's a lot of news around him so far, I see online, and, I think he's played 15 games now and he's only lost once, which, what does it say for all those other managers he's competing against who have these qualifications, and he's able to come in and actually arguably get better results? And obviously, the man who he's replaced, I think lost his job in October last year, they've brought in a guy who's unqualified. It's almost like,
no, man, we're just getting this guy off the street.
We're better off getting someone unqualified to do your job because he is better.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But
I guess the other thing I want to touch on with regards to the managers is, I don't know, maybe a bit of a myth that surrounds managers. People call it the new manager bounce, where, once a club sacks a manager, a new one comes in, there seems to be a bit of a lift. I was looking just before and seeing some stats. It seems like there probably is a little bit of truth to that. Don't know, what do you think? It seems a bit strange that, as a player, you could have a manager and everything's the same, excluding that person, and immediately, I don't know, do the players just start trying more, or
it must be
what does it actually boil down to?
Well, at the top level, I think technically a lot of those guys are probably quite similar. So I think it's all mental sort of things. So I guess if you get a new manager that believes in you, you're I'm going to try for this guy. I'm going to work that a little bit harder. So for me, that's probably what I reckon it boils down to. Or
so the players have just lost motivation?
Yeah, probably. It's any workplace. If you get a new manager and you work every day, you're going to be I'm going to work a little bit harder, show him what I can do.
Prove your spot kind of thing?
Yeah, prove it. Make sure you hold that and be in his good books. So... But yeah, I reckon, as I said, at that top level, it's so minute. The best players, they believe in themselves, they're going to do this sort of thing. So if you can instill that belief back in the players, I reckon that's where that sort of bounce or, those positive results come from. But yeah, I don't know if they sustain in the long run.
Do you think the irony though, if you take Everton as the example, they obviously sacked their manager late last year, put Frank Lampard in, and he saves them from relegation.
But then next year it's But
then this year they're we're in relegation again. We need to get rid of the guy that saved us and bring in another guy who last year as well, he lost his job.
Yeah, they just kept rotating.
Yeah, so it's like, what's the actual logic? It's purely, we just need a new manager. It's not like, oh, I get Sean Dyche in because of this. Because like Burnley, where they're like, oh, we're in the relegation zone, we'll get rid of him. And now Everton, they're like, oh, no, we'll put him in.
Well, like, I guess if you look at modern day football, like how many of the top managers stay at their clubs for that long? Other than Klopp and Guardiola, like, 3 years is probably the max, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, they've been in forever, but I think it's just the way it is now, football. Like, you just get a new guy in, new ideas, try something different, and just hope for that sort of thing.
But it's almost trying to ride this short-term wave, like, get that new manager in, get them to perform. The minute there's a drop, get them in again, and just constantly, just constantly trying to take advantage of that, like, improvement. And then, the minute there's any drop, they're like, oh, we'll get the next guy in to repeat that process.
Yeah.
To me, the facts kind of show, or the stats that we've looked into show that, it does exist on some level. Yeah. We've even seen this season with like Gerrard going, Unai Emery coming in, all of a sudden Villa are playing. But how long does then that last?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're Mourinho, you're pretty happy because isn't he still getting paid by Chelsea or something like that? David Moyes is still getting paid for United, so... Yeah, I suppose you're probably tactical if you're a manager, being like getting these long contracts, making sure that's all in. But I suppose if you're happy with the manager, you keep it. But even like Klopp, I think he gets worn out a fair bit. So I can't imagine he'd be at Liverpool too much longer. I think before he finds a new challenge. So I don't know. It's just the way modern football is.
Yeah, the logic of it just doesn't make sense to me all the time because like if you've got a guy who's coached the team for most of the season, he knows the players much better than anyone who comes in now.
But then I guess you could say like fresh eyes could see like a new way to play, or like you might find something that the other manager wasn't looking at. So I suppose you could go either way. But
the other thing is like it's funny when managers come in and they always say, oh, it's much easier for a manager coming in at the start of the season where you have the full pre-season. You can bring in a few players that you might want in your team and you can make some transfers versus the guy who comes in mid-season, but it still exists where the guy who comes in mid-season does actually get the improvements.
Yeah, so. I suppose it's hard when you come mid-season. Like you got your squad, you can't do much. Like tactically, you probably can't change too much. You got to just run with what they got. Like you're not going to change formation like middle of November or something, are you? Because it probably just doesn't end well. But
it's funny the results though show that there is still the success. So it's like, oh, you could just get any guy off the street. Just here's a new man in charge. Now all the same players go out and play. Yeah. And you win. You don't need any...
Messi, just go in the middle, mate. Like, don't take it out of the wing.
Yeah, just put it in the net. Like, you know what you're doing. I trust you.
Yeah, just put it in the goal. What are you doing?
You've done it before. You know what you're doing. It just seems weird to me, but obviously looking at stats and whatnot, it shows it's a thing. So I can't really argue with it. And I guess the last thing we wanted to talk about as part of the manager special here is Pep Guardiola. Obviously a lot of big news coming out recently about City breaching financial fair play. No one quite knows punishment as yet, but he's come out and said in the past that if the club have lied to him to some degree, he'd feel a bit betrayed and whatnot, and he would leave the club. So City, where they are, there's a bit of a cloud over them. Where are they going to be next season and all this.
I reckon he said it on his Facebook and he's looking back a couple of years like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Probably regrets it. You might have to call on his bluff here.
He's like, here's my resignation.
Yeah, whoops. But I guess if Pep walks away from Man City after having such a long, sustained period of success, like who would be next in line to follow a job like that?
Probably. Zidane's always linked to those big jobs, isn't he? I guess.
Yeah, I guess he's been out of it for a while.
But he probably just enjoys chilling on the beaches rather than a job like that. But
Pochettino's not been
Pochettino
in for a while, and he's obviously done some big gigs at PSG and whatnot.
Joachim Low, he's not doing anything, I think. Is he?
The German.
Yeah.
No, he's probably contract. He's sniffing his hands still.
Wearing his turtlenecks. Yeah. Pep in turtlenecks, that's fine.
Yeah, he's probably a good fit. I guess you just mentioned before, like Liverpool and Man City have probably got the most long-standing managers by far. So if Pep ends up leaving after all the issues surrounding the club, it's just like who's the next man to come into that? That's such a big job, but he's got them playing so well, and a lot of their success has been down to him because they've been through so many managers prior to that who just couldn't quite get them to
consistent. Not consistent. Yeah, I think him and Klopp are just a step above them, I reckon.
Yeah.
Zidane's pretty good as well. So I think you probably class those three as probably the best in the world. But I'm sure someone will be attracted by that salary and the money and.
Well, I guess is the salary going to remain the same if everything goes through?
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. But they're still world-class players. Like I'm sure any player, managing KDB, Haaland, all those guys.
Assuming all the players stay,
Yeah.
but a lot of managers have gone to City before and won the league, Mancini and Pellegrini and whatnot, but he's been able to get such a prolonged period of success. Like, there'd be so many other fans in the Premier League who'd be licking their lips, like thinking that Pep's gone. Like, I know,
it's an opportunity now.
yeah, for Liverpool fans, I know he was absolutely killing us. Like, we'd get like 95, 96 points, whatever, and still not enough to win the league because of Man City, but that's, you know, one of the biggest jobs now in world football, you'd say.
Where do you think, if Pep left City, where would he go, you reckon?
Oh, well, we kind of see from, like, you know, the jobs he's done in the past, he's always kind of like that elite manager, you know, that he's done Barcelona, Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that's what, but like, international, you reckon maybe he'd give that a shot?
Mate, I mean, he could easily go and do like the Spain team. Like the brand of football he plays, you'd probably associate quite strongly with Spanish football, like the whole tiki-taka and whatnot. Something that I guess is kind of held against him is the clubs he's managed and been reliant on the money and the budget, where he's been able to go out, or, you know, he goes into Bayern Munich, who's the best team in the country, and he's just gone for winning. So for me, I picture him going in at that top level, and any top club, you know, would love to have him, I'm sure, as well. So it's not going to be
Paris, maybe.
Yeah, I guess if Messi still sticks around there.
I just think with the international, like Pep's like philosophy style, probably you need to build it over like a couple of weeks. Like when he came to City, like immediately it wasn't like the way he wanted to play.
Didn't hit the ground running.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, international, you know, it's a little bit harder because you only have those guys for a couple of weeks playing together. So
well, for me as well, like the international kind of feels like a bit more of like, not like a part-time job, but like it's
semi-retirement.
Yeah, like you said, you're coaching less weeks in the year.
Yeah. Football.
Yeah, so a lot of people in the past have said like it's a lot more around man management. Like you're getting guys from all different teams who have just come from playing different styles.
It'd be hard.
You've only got a couple of weeks to work with them and go out and play a tournament. So it's just like, all right, guys, you obviously know how to play. You know how good you are. Like, let's just do a few of these foundational things, and that's how I want to play. Yep. So yeah, I think he could easily go into it, but just given his age and things like that, I think he probably has a few more years in him before he goes into.
What's hard, like he's never going to go to Madrid or anything like that. Like,
nah, well, he's done Barca. Like, potentially go back to Barca.
Yeah, maybe. But
yeah, I mean, any of the top jobs you can see him linked with. You know, if any of those top clubs start to have a dip, it's like, okay, you can easily bring Pep in.
Lurking around the corner.
It'll be he's like the biggest name that will get rumoured. But there's a lot of managers out, even like Tuchel.
Oh yeah.
You know, mentioning before about going into City. He's obviously another big name. Out of work as we record this. Pochettino's another one, but it's such a big job. But I think any Premier League fan of another club would just be not pleased to see him go, but there'd be some kind of relief that their club now stands a bit of chance because he's just been there winning back to back.
Top manager, I think.
Yeah. That just about does us today for the manager special. Yeah, we've obviously mentioned Will Still in France. We've mentioned the new manager bounce, where new managers come in and seems to get that immediate success, at least in the short term. And lastly, you know, if Pep Guardiola does walk away from Man City, who's likely to come in next, and potentially where would Pep then go? Obviously, if you guys have any thoughts on that, chuck it in the comments below. We'll have a read of them, see what we think. Let us know if you agree with whatever we've said here as well. Oh, the thirsty,
I was just sitting there. I was just like,
the thirsty, are we? Yeah, if you're not already following us on Instagram, find us on there. Give us a follow. We post regularly about different news updates, different stories and things like that. Obviously, another place we can notify you of when we upload videos. So yeah, give us a follow on there. Otherwise, I've been Ant. This has been Jake, and this has been Redmayne. Thanks, guys.